Good morning. Welcome to the webinar, HECC Standard A Need, Providing Clear Evidence of Occupation Demand. My name is Cassina Daly, and I'm part of the Academic Program Approval Team for CCWD. My co-presenter today is Tim Pierce, Curriculum Coordinator for Chemeketa Community College. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Academic Program Approval website. We ask that during this webinar you use the chat function to ask your questions. We will get to your questions as soon as we possibly can. In your calendar invitation, you'll find 3 resources: Labor Market Information Policy Guide, Occupation Profiles Report How-To Guide, and Supplemental Occupation Profiles Form. I'd like to take a moment to briefly review each of these items with you. First resource is going to be the Labor Market Information Policy Guide. We won't be reviewing this document in depth today during today's webinar. However, I would like to call out the main points of the document. It speaks to the first resource of Labor Market Information Policy Guide. It speaks to the history, what awards are considered standalone, Standard A definition with guiding questions, understanding the Occupation Profiles Report, Supplementary Profiles Form. The second resource that we're going to actually go through today is the Occupation Profiles Report How-To Guide. Step-by-step instructions on how to find the occupation report, how to print it out, what happens if all the information isn't found on the report that you printed. The third resource is the Supplemental Occupation Profiles Form. We're going to go through how to fill out the form when not all the information about your occupation is found in the Occupation Profile Report. Welcome and objectives. Well, today we're here to review Standard A Need. At our last web forms meeting, the question was asked of us to explain the LMI process. Our goal today is to explain the history, reason, how we're moving towards the future together, and the tools to make this process streamlined. The new streamlined process was created by input and review of the web forms beta team consisting of Erica Carmen and Vickery Viles at Central Oregon Community College, Amy L.A. Murray at Tillamook Bay Community College, Melody Brown at Lane Community College, Brenda Lewis from Umpqua Community College, Tim Pierce from Chemeketa Community College, Stacy Holland from Portland Community College, and Sierra Milkowitz from Southwestern Oregon Community College. Thank you, Beta Team, for your collaboration. So, moving forward, to understand the LMI process, labor market information process, we need to understand its roots. In 2002, through a collaboration of many stakeholders across the state of Oregon, the State Board of Education published 5 approval standards for CTE programs. In 2014, the Higher Education Coordinating Commission adopted these 5 approval standards. Standard A is need. Standard B is collaboration. Standard C is alignment. Standard D is design. Standard E is capacity. Today, we're here to discuss Standard A need. For those who want to learn more about the other 4 standards, we encourage you to visit the Oregon Community College's Handbook and Planning Guide. The standards can be found under Program Approval in the section named Higher Education Coordinating Commission Approval Standards. So let's go into the definition of Standard A, need. The community college provides clear evidence of the need for the program. Program elements show the program need is clearly indicated by labor market research based on current, valid, and reliable information. Statistics and forecasts is based on current and projected employment demand that is not being met by training provided by existing programs, and will lead to jobs demonstrating opportunities for competitive wages and wage progression for program completers. So what does that mean to us? It's great to have that definition, but how do we put it into form that makes sense, or is what the Higher Education Coordinating Commission is looking to see? So moving towards the future with how we view this. At the workshop, we listened to the challenges you were having, understanding requirements, when, how, what, inconsistent resources, varied from source to source, open to interpretation, sometimes very vague, inconsistent terminology used across the state, from department to department, from college to college, from specialist to specialist. The question became, how do we move towards the future with so many challenges? Well, our first step was to listen. And so we listened, took on these challenges, and developed a clear process with assistance from the beta team. The result, a clear policy guide and easy to find report that includes all information asked for in Standard A, and an easy to fill out supplemental form for when all the information is not found in the report.
So from a college's perspective, it clearly defines what the state requires so that we are not doing more work than is necessary. And it allows for consistent data from all 17 community colleges. However, whatever the new process happens to be, it needs to be easy for people to do.
Okay, so where are these tools? In the very beginning of the webinar today, we talked about the 3 resources. Those are your 3 tools to move forward. They can be found in 3 different places, making them easy to find and use. One of your questions and concerns was, where do I find these items? We can only find them one place, and we keep on forgetting where that one place is because there's 3 different areas you can go to put in your program or to learn about programs. We went ahead and listened to you and put them in the 3 main areas to find resources for academic program approval. The first location is the academic program approval website, landing page under handbook and planning guide. So if you scroll down, we're showing you the page right now, underneath handbook and planning guide, you'll be able to see where those approval standards are at and the resources underneath them. Oregon Community College's handbook, those are in the area marked program approval page under Higher Education Coordinating Commission, HECC approval standards. Web forms, notice of application page, LMI how-to. On the right-hand side of that NOA page, there'll be a new link that will say LMI how-to. That will launch on June 14th, 2019, as well as this process in full. So occupation profiles report. One of the questions that we had was, there's so many places we can find occupational profile information. What does the state of Oregon consider the correct information for us to submit? I'm going to give you a website address today, www.qualityinfo.org, that will give you in one report all the information that you need to submit for a proper labor market information ask for Standard A need. So let's go out to qualityinfo.org on my end. So I want to keep you guys in the webinar, but I'm going to go out there on my end. And we're going to look and see this website. This might be new to some of you. It might not be new to some of you. First thing we are going to do is go to jobs and careers. Can everybody see the website? Yes, yes. Okay, great. Thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate that. So first thing we want to do is go to jobs and careers. We're going to scroll down and go to occupation and wage information. Go ahead and click on that. Now for today's show, we're going to pretend that we are Chemeketa Community College, and the program that we were given to enter into web forms and to get the labor market information on is animal husbandry. So up in the search options, I'm going to type in animal husbandry. I'm going to not hit search yet. I'm going to bypass matching occupations. I'm going to go down to select area. In this area, I'm going to be able to scroll down and find the area that best fits my college. So today we're Chemeketa. Let's go to Mid-Valley. So I'm going to choose my area, which is Mid-Valley. I'm going to scroll down further. And all of these items down here on the left-hand side of the page right here are items we need with 2 exceptions. We do not need the jobs opening listed, so we can uncheck that. And we do not need the job openings from the web checked. So we're going to uncheck that option. Scroll down to the bottom. And now we're going to hit Get Report. And this process just takes a second. It's going out to all of the employment, Oregon Employment Department's websites, data hubs.
So, Katina, someone wants to know why you don't want to see the job openings.
You don't need to see the job openings. You can certainly run the job openings, but we don't necessarily need to see those job openings.
In the report.
In the report. Thank you for your question. So on the report that we just ran, we're going to see that it has all the parts of the answer standard A need, from is a license required, description, wage range for Oregon, and wage range for the Mid-Valley, employment outlook for the state of Oregon, for the area of Mid-Valley. And we can go down and see all the industries, all the jobs that are available, what the current employment is, the educational requirements, the schools and training providers around the areas, showing that they just can't go to the school 10 miles down the road to take this, to get this degree or the certificate. It also includes the career pathways that the student can go on to enhance their jobs, and then related occupations. Well, up at the top, we're looking at this now going, description, directly supervise and coordinate the activities of agriculture, forestry, aquaculture, and we're realizing that this doesn't really match the description that the department sent to us. At this point in time, we'll have you go to the left-hand side of your page, and we're going to just click on matching occupations, look through the matching occupations, and see if one of these occupations better fits the description that the department sent us. And as we can see, animal scientist was one of the intended occupations that they wrote on their information that they sent to us. So we're going to go ahead and choose animal scientist. It's going to go ahead and run the report again, but for animal scientist. Now we see in the description that, okay, that description actually meets what that department says the student will be able to do after they receive the certificate. We look down here and notice, though, that, wait a second, Oregon's wage range is there, but in the Mid-Valley, for some reason, there's no wage data available yet. Employment outlook. The statewide employment outlook is there, but the area employment analysis, maybe we don't agree with that, because in our area, this is a new industry or occupation that is just starting and it's going to be pretty hot. So we're not quite in agreement with that. Area employment projections, Oregon again is there. Mid-Valley is not there. As we scroll down, we can see other pieces are there. So the question becomes, what do we do now? That not all standard A is actually answered in this report. Well, first we're going to talk about how to print off this report. In the upper right-hand corner, there's the print report. Go ahead, print that report. And it's going to print a PDF. This PDF you will save and you will upload it in the attachment section of the NOA. So I'm going to let Tim get me back over to the next slide. So when you have that actually printed out, you're going to attach it to the NOA in the section called Additional Info, the sub-area attachments. It will now say, starting on June 14th, upload occupational profiles report, supplemental occupation profiles form, if needed. In this case, it would be needed. Employer advisory committee, if that's needed, and any other relevant documentation you would like to share. Remember, all documentation that you have is considered useful to us in order to approve the program. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn this webinar over to Tim to talk about the supplemental form.
Thank you, Cassina. So what do you do if the report does not answer all of standard A? The state realizes that there needs to be a secondary process that allows you to collect supplemental information for your proposed program so that your data is clean and accurate. What happens if you were to look up an occupation and qualityinfo.org does not have any information for your region? When this happens, you will create a supplemental occupation profile form in addition to the occupation profiles report, and you will submit both as part of your NOA. The second situation can occur when you are creating a new program or certificate, and it's embedded into a different program based on how the federal government classifies occupations. For instance, if you were looking to create an EMT certificate, EMTs are combined with paramedic jobs at the federal level. So as you would probably guess, an EMT does not have the same level of training as a paramedic, so the reported wages would have to be less than what's going to be reported on Quality Info. In this instance, you would fill out the supplemental occupation profile form and the occupation profiles report that Cassina talked about earlier. You'll attach both of these documents with your NOA. You can locate the link to the supplemental occupation profiles form in 3 places on the HECC website. First, the academic program approval site that we showed you earlier, the CCWD handbook, and in web forms where you will be creating the notice of application. So what I want to do is show you how to fill out the form. And so we're going to go to this site that we've already preloaded. And we would be clicking on the supplemental occupations profile form that will download the file, in this case a Word document, to your desktop. That you can see here. And so I've already completed a form that we can take a look at. So at the top, it's going to ask for name of the college. So in this case, Chemeketa Community College, the date of the application. So we're going to say March 29th, because that's when we were first playing around with the form. The name of the program, so animal husbandry, being a little redundant by putting the AAS in there, but it's because that's the award. But the occupation is animal scientist, because that's what we found in qualityinfo.org. So we're going to use that as the basis for completing the next section of the report, which is the wage range. So if you remember from Quality Info, there was already wage information for the state of Oregon. So I typed in that information, starting with the 10th percentile and continuing on up to the annual wage. Now you'll see that there's information now for the local area. So where did that come from? So that information came from either the state economists, if they have that information, but it more likely is going to come from your advisory committee and other employers in the region. So in this case, we'd be surveying them about what that wage range is going to look like for that particular occupation. And so you'll notice that I've filled that out, starting with what the beginning wage is, up into the top wage, and then compiled an average wage along with an average annual wage, so that we have a comparison based on what the state has. The third section is the employment outlook. So again, that's what's on Quality Info. And so you see the statewide employment analysis that is typed literally verbatim from the qualityinfo.org website. Now, the local area information analysis, we want to argue is going to be different than what the state has on its website. So again, we went out, hypothetically in this case, to employers and asked them, so are there jobs? What do the jobs look like? What can we predict what might be the jobs going over a period of time? And so based on that, we can conclude that there's moderate growth, not much smaller growth, but just say moderate growth, and that there's the total number of jobs is able to sustain a small growth in jobs between now and we say 2029, the economist is going to 2027 on Quality Info. Because we're going to put in the next sentence, part of that sentence, because of specialized farming practices coming to the region. So we're using that to help boost up our argument about why this program is in fact needed. So you see that there is some employment information. It looks small, but we're saying there's still some growth there, at least in the Mid-Valley region. Again, trying to use the employment projections that the state of Oregon has provided statewide, and then trying to do the comparison to our local area. So the last thing they want to know is, who did you talk to? And so at this point, we've got the name of the business, the contact name, the email address, and a phone number. Why? Because if someone from the HECC wanted to call and verify the information, they have that information there to do so. Once that form has been completed, you're going to go back, as I go back down to the PowerPoint presentation, you're going to upload that attachment to with the notice of application in the occupation's profile report. So that PDF, the supplemental form, will all go up. So I've got a question here from somebody.
Okay.
So the question is this: it's never been clear to me what criteria CCW staff uses for approval. Do they approve that there's a profile included regardless of what the profile says, and trust that individual colleges evaluate the strength of the argument for need? Another way to ask this is, does each individual college determine if supplemental profiles are required, or does CCWD determine?
Okay, I think I understand your question. Thank you. So one of the things they evaluate on that labor market information are all components of Standard A answered. What is great about this report is they all are answered. Now, as Tim just said, in the supplemental file, the supplemental form, I should say, that is the chance to, if you don't agree with what the state economist said in the report for that occupation, that's the college's chance to say, hey, this is what our information says. This is what we're going with. Now, when that comes in, do we go out and verify it by calling the people that is on your list of employers they worked with? Most of the time, no. It's available in case they need to, but we are taking on the first thought that the college has done their due diligence, has shown that they've done the work, and we're first apt to believe what the college is putting forward. You guys are a business and a learning institution, but still a business who wants to make sure that you are actually offering a program that is good out into the field. Now, what do we do with that labor market information, that standard A? We actually have to send it through to the Higher Education Coordinating Commission meeting, where they get the chance, by they I mean the commissioners, to look through and see what's happening in your region. Why is the community college wanting to do this? This is the first time I've heard about this occupation in this area. I can go out there to the labor market quality info and see that there's nothing in this area. Currently, no occupation in this area. That's why that supplemental form is really important, because we're able to show and prove that, yes, this community college needs to actually offer this program. Our Oregonians need it in this area. So the individual college, it is up to the individual college to determine if the supplemental profile form is required. If, as we went through the profile report, if those pieces are not in the profile, the original profile report. So does that make sense to everybody, or did I answer that question well, or do we still have questions on that? Are we good? Okay. It is up to each individual college to make that determination of, is the occupation profile report filled out 100% from the state, from www.qualityinfo.org. It's, if the information for that local area is not in there, in that original report that you print out, then you do need to do the supplemental form so that we can see what is going on with your region. That's what's going to make that final push of, okay, yes. All righty, so we are actually at questions, and I'm feeling pretty happy that we're at 10:30. We were actually hoping to be here at this place by 10:40, so we're 10 minutes ahead. And so we're going to open up to questions at this point in time. And so we just took everybody off of mute and wanted to say thank you very much for coming. And do we have any questions for attending the webinar? Oh, you guys are a quiet group. I love it. So if there's no questions, then I would like to say thank you to everybody who was involved in making this amazing resource guide, policy guide, form, and putting the form together. The beta teams, if you want to be part of the beta team, please give me an email. The beta teams have been amazing to work with and really represent each and every community college, which is fantastic.
So we got a question here.
Okay.
So someone just submitted a notice of application and is going to submit another one next week. So should that person follow today's guidelines or June's guidelines? Today's
guidelines. There's nothing wrong with starting it today. In fact, we do have some colleges that have been doing this process now for the past 3 months as we tested it.
And when will the recording be available?
The recording will be available next week. I need to go through it and make sure it's clean. And then I will be posting a link to it on our program, academic program approval website. Yes, today's guidelines means what we just covered today. You will most definitely have to follow those starting June 14th, but you can go ahead, start today. As I said, there's a handful of community colleges that started 3 months ago to test the process.
Will you return the notice of application that was just submitted?
Can you send me an email reminding me to return the notice of application that was just submitted?
And then implementing right now is difficult since faculty are off contract soon. If they need to do supplemental info, they won't be back until fall.
Okay. So we can work on that on a case-by-case basis. So if you just send me an email, you and I can work through that. Yay. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, are we good? Excellent. Again, I'd like to thank my co-presenter, Tim, and wish you guys all an amazing Friday and end of the week.
Exactly. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, Christina.
You're welcome. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Katina.